What is going on YouTube and Diablo fans? My name's Andreas, and as always, welcome back to Mana and Motherboards. So today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about a build that I will likely be starting for the new Season 14 that is coming up on the 22nd or 23rd of May, depending on where you are in the world. So I'm super excited for the new season. I think the changes that they have implemented for the Warlock are all for the better, for the class and for the game as a whole and in general. So I'm very excited for Season 14. I think it's going to be a great season, even better than Season 13, and I think it has a whole lot going for it. So the build that I'm going to potentially be playing for Season 14, or more than potentially, I'm very likely going to be playing for Season 14, is the Tainted Summoner Warlock, or the Tainted Blood Boil hybrid build. So if we quickly have a look at the patch notes for Season 14 Diablo 2 Resurrected year, they did make some changes to the Summon Tainted skill. So in Season 13, the synergy from Blood Boil didn't actually apply to the Tainted or Summon Tainted skill, and now in the PTR, the synergy did work, but it applied 30% damage per level to the Tainted skill, where they have now for Season 14 reduced that 30% down to 20% because it was rather powerful or a little bit overpowered in the PTR at 30%. So with full endgame gear and optimization, you could get roughly 45,000 fire damage per Tainted that you had summoned, and that would basically equate to around 150,000 fire damage, which was a huge amount and a huge number. So I think that the reduction from 30% to 20% is quite a good one. I would have pictured them sort of nerfing it down to around 15%, maybe 10% at a push, but 20% I think will still be a good sweet spot and a good strong spot for this build. So where I thought this could have potentially been by far the best Warlock build, and possibly even one of the best builds in the game, it is now brought a little bit more in line with the other classes, the other builds for the Warlock, and maybe still S tier and very powerful, but not as overpowered as it was. So I think roughly this would equate to, let's say, almost a 30% reduction in damage for the Summon Tainted skill compared to in the PTR. So they also fixed, this is already, like I mentioned, they fixed the issue where the Blood Boil synergy damage didn't apply. They also fixed an issue where fire skills, so let's say Mage Fist or that helm that is Flickering Flame that adds 2 fire skills, these didn't actually count for the purposes of the Summon Tainted skill. So in the testing in the PTR, these didn't actually add any skills, damage, and bonuses to the Tainted skill, Summon Tainted skill. And this is going to be a huge change or bug fix for the coming Season 14. They also fixed an issue where the attack speed increase did not display on the tooltip. So this is from your Demon Mastery skill and all sorts of other places that you can get increased attack speed for your Summon Tainted. So these are the changes they've made, and overall, with our testing in the PTR, we found that this was such an incredibly powerful build. Like I said, almost 150,000 fire damage, and it was just doing fantastically. So if we just have a look at our skill here, as we have set it up in the PTR, we are doing roughly around 31k per Summon Tainted. Now, I'm not sure what the reason for this is. Who knows what it is, but basically I can still log into the PTR and play offline in single player and with my hero edited characters here. So I do have the character that I made in the PTR that I can quickly run through and show you and give you a bit of an idea what an end game setup for this build would look like. So firstly, what we're going to start off with is our skill tree, and I'll just show you sort of how we have set out this Summon Tainted Blood Boil hybrid build. So if we look at the Chaos skill tree, I've just put one into each of the sigils, That is just so that we can use Sigil Death for a little bit of extra damage and a little bit of faster clear speeds. We could also use Sigil Lethargy on bosses or big dangerous packs, maybe even heralds if they are posing to be a threat. So I think 1-point wonder in your sigils is very important. For the Eldritch skill tree, we don't have anything here. There's nothing of real importance to this build in that skill tree. Then for the demon skill, we just have 1 point into Summon Goatman so that we can get to Summon Tainted. We max out Summon Tainted. We max out Summon Tainted's synergy, which is Blood Boil. Then we max out Blood's... excuse me. So we max out Summon Tainted, we max out Blood Boil, we will then max out Demonic Mastery to get the biggest damage bonus, speed bonus, attack speed bonus, and attack rating bonus for our Summon Tainted. We will then max out Engorge, although we could probably max out Blood Oath instead of Engorge, so that we have the strongest Blood Boil that we can, because we will be using Blood Boil in conjunction with Summon Tainted so that we can kill both fire immunes and your regular monsters as well. So this will be our backup fire immune killing skill with that physical damage that is applied through Blood Boil. So you can kind of just max out your Demonic Mastery, your Summon Tainted, your Blood Boil, and then max out probably Blood Oath first, and then Engorge for the rest of your points. We don't use Consume because we want as many Summons Tainted as possible, and we don't use Bind Demon again because we want as many Summon Tainted as possible here. So then looking at our stats, it's the cookie cutter sort of generic version of any character that is enough strength to wear your gear, the rest into vitality. You can see we get about 2k life here in hit points, and that is just about where we want it. Our resists don't have to be perfect because we are doing a summoning build, so our Tainted are doing all the damage and getting into the fray where we can just stay back a little bit. Then in terms of gear, we are going very much fire focused because of our Summon Tainted skill being fire damage purely. We do, yes, have physical damage from Blood Boil, but we are predominantly and mainly a fire summoner caster. So first up we have Mangsong's Lesson. We have that important 5-to-all skills, faster cast rate, and that big minus to enemy fire resistance. We also have one of those new Uber Ancients, what are they, jewels in there, which I think is the Defender's Fire. So that gives us further fire damage and minus to enemy fire resistance. So we got one of those in our Mang Songs, and this is sort of our best in slot for damage weapon for this build. Moving on to the Helm, we have Flickering Flame. It has 3 to fire skills and that resist fire aura, which is important to offset our minus fire resist from our Sundered Charm, Flame Rift Sundered Charm. So we're using a Flickering Flame for those fire skills and the aura. It's also got some nice mana and some other things going on, but above all else, it's got that very important minus fire resist and that fire skills on there. We've just got a Marius here. You can basically use any skill amulet, and the little all-res and attributes it adds is also just helpful for this build in general. But any skill amulet, maybe one even with faster cast rate, would be fantastic. You can even use a 3 to demon skills magic charm here. That would also work really well. Enigma for the teleport, everything else that's going on there. That's just really fantastic for any of the Warlock builds, and I think it's just a best in slot armor for the Warlock and a lot of classes and characters. Ars Tor Balos, so the Blasphemous Compendium. This is important because it gives us those extra demon skills, it gives us the extra skills into Blood Boil, Engorge, Demonic Mastery, a whole bunch of life, and with the rune socketed into it, it also gives us some resistances. It also very nicely has that physical damage reduction. So overall, this is just a fantastic item, best in slot for this build. We've got the Mage Fist Gauntlets for the plus to fire skills and the faster cast rate. We've got a, what is this, an opal vein. This is basically my hero edited version of an opal vein. Anyway, it's got the faster cast rate, the all res, the MPK, the LPK, LMK, LPK, whatever, the life after each kill, the mana after each kill, and that fire skill damage. We've got an arachnid mesh bolt here for the faster cast rate and skill. We've got a Stone of Jordan for the extra skill. You could also use another opal vein, whatever you prefer. The extra mana here is quite nice. And then lastly, we have 1 to demon skills Wraith Step, again just to add that extra demon skills to our build. On the offhand, we have a Call to Arms and a Spirit, the generic sort of setup there, an Annie and a Torch, just sort of mid-roll here, Demon Skillers, all res small charms, and a Flame Rift Sundered Charm, Grand Charm. So that is our setup, and this is a very much endgame setup. If you also have a look at our mercenary, we are using an infinity to further reduce our enemies' fire resistance through that conviction aura that it applies and has on this weapon. So that's a very expensive option for your mercenary with a Bur Malbur Ist, but it is very, very powerful for this build. And like I said, this is very much an endgame setup, but this is where you're gonna get the most from using infinity on your mercenary. It's not essential, but it does pay dividends. So Chains of Honor for his armor to get that life leech, and a Cure Helm just to give us all that cleansing aura, which is very helpful. This, I think, is just your general good setup. He's also got Holy Freeze just for a bit of extra CC. So what we're going to do is show you a bit of gameplay now, and I think what we'll do quickly is just terrorize a couple of the acts here. We'll do a Northern Wallstone Shard. We'll do a Deep Wallstone Shard. We'll do, what's this, Southern and Eastern. So I'll just show you a little bit of gameplay in the various areas here, just to give you an idea of what this build is capable of. So we're quickly going to switch up to our offhand, do our battle command, battle orders. Sorry if my gameplay is not fully up to scratch at the moment. I have been playing a lot of Diablo 4 recently, so it's kind of weird to get back into Diablo 2 Resurrected, but we'll try nonetheless. So as you can see, we are just teleporting around here, and we will use our, what is that skill even called? Death Mark. So we will use our Death Mark to position our Tainted and get them where we would like them, so that we can use Blood Boil and we can just position them as best as possible to do as much damage as possible. So as you can see, they absolutely blast through everything, basically one-shotting them, and they are just incredibly powerful. We have 3 fast attack speed turrets that are basically just blasting enemies to oblivion. And because this is the PTR, you can see you drop a lot of Wallstone Shards very quickly and very easily. I think this is a Herald here, and that Herald was dispatched of incredibly quickly. Yeah, this build is just so powerful, and because this is the PTR, we actually don't have any of those extra fire skills being applied on the build. So our Flickering Flame is not in effect right now. Our Mage Fist gauntlets are not in effect, and now we are just using our sorry, I just need to resummon there quickly. We are using our Blood Boil to take care of any immunes, and we are also just using our Death Mark in order to get our Tainted where we need them. So this is a fire enchanted herald, and the health of the heralds is incredibly high in the PTR. That's why you are seeing this like shown. It is not the fastest when it comes to fire immunes, and there's a bit of a reason why. Obviously it's fire damage, but I will also get into that just now. Also, my mercenary died, so we'll quickly go and get him. But other than that, you can see that this build is doing incredibly well and is incredibly powerful. I'm not sure why I can still play the PTR. I don't know if that's normally how things operate in the single player, if you can just like continue to play the PTR, but either way, that's what's working for me at the moment, so I'm happy, so I can still do some testing and mess around a bit, things like that. Let's go to Flare Jungle here. I think there are also quite a few fire immunes in this area, but regardless, we will do the best that we can. So teleport around and just start blasting. And as you can see the damage, you can also lay down your sigil death just to get some extra explosions going on there. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of Diablo 4, so my gameplay at the moment is not fantastic. So you lay down sigil death to get some extra damage going on there, and you are just blasting everything. And this build is just, it feels fluid, it feels great. I think it works pretty decently as a leveling build. There was a member of our community, Frog Mike, this is a shout out to you. He also hops on our live streams regularly, and we very much appreciate his support within the community. And he did some testing where he leveled up in the PTR using the Tainted build, and he's actually the one who got me on the Tainted build in terms of realizing its potential and all the rest of that. And he said that as a leveling build, even on Players 8, it does work pretty well. So he has assured me, I haven't done it myself yet, that you can actually level playing as a Tainted Warlock, and I take his word for it, and I will also be doing a bit of testing myself just to back up that claim and just check how that goes. But I think you will be able to level quite comfortably with this build. So the last place we're going to go is the Chaos Sanctuary quickly. And if you are feeling like maybe this build was a little lackluster, maybe it's not quite as powerful as I'm going on about, have a look here. So if we go down here, we are on Players 8 difficulty, terror-wise, in all of these acts. So we're going to drop that difficulty quickly just to show you just how incredibly powerful this build is. As you saw, it basically one-shots everything on Players 8 difficulty. So where can we go? Lost City. Okay, that's where we at. Let's do some damage here. It basically one-shots everything. I think in the PTR right now, with the right gear, this build is basically more powerful than Echoing Strike ever was, just because you don't have to do anything. You can just let your standing turrets of fire deal all the damage you need and just blast everything. Immunities aren't an issue because you do have that blood boil. And overall, this is potentially the strongest build that the Warlock has on offer for Season 14, in my opinion. The Fire Warlock is also incredibly powerful, but it can't deal with immunes quite as effectively as what this build can. So that's why I think this build is slightly more powerful than Fire, and with Fire being potentially the most powerful build that the Warlock has on offer, this could be the most powerful build in the Warlock's arsenal right now. Echoing Strike isn't quite as powerful as what it used to be. I still think it is roughly an A or B tier build, but it just isn't as strong as it used to be in the Season 13 sort of meta. And as you can see, there's a lot of fire immunes in this River of Fire or River of Flame area, and we are doing so much damage using that Infinity, using our Blood Boil. And like I mentioned, I am not playing optimally whatsoever. I'm playing very badly right now, but you can just see how much damage these Tainted are doing. So I'm incredibly impressed with this build. I think it's going to be a great build thematically for the Warlock, with summoning these flame-spitting demons from Hull. And it's also just going to be a fun build, a build where you don't have to focus on your resistances all too much, because you can use your Tainted at range. And it's just going to be great to play through. I think it might be more effective in a group than individually, just because of getting to level 12 first to get your Tainted. But I mean, Act 1 normal, you can pretty much get to level 12 very quickly, very easily, however you need. So yeah, I think that basically wraps it up. This is a very incredibly strong build. I would love to hear what builds you are potentially thinking of starting for Season 14. We are also going to be doing a whole bunch of playthrough groups on our Discord. If you would like to join to do a fast playthrough at the beginning of the season, the link to our Discord community will be in the description of this video below. And we are just going to be having a ton of fun and doing a ton of daily content coming out for Season 14 as soon as that launches on May 22nd or 23rd, depending on where you are. Tainted is what I'm going to be playing, and it's going to be a fantastic build. I think what we'll do is another video focusing specifically on how it would be to level as Tainted, and we'll get that out for you guys as soon as possible. But there are a whole lot of fantastic builds for the Warlock, as well as all the other classes for Season 14. We have a bunch of PTR videos on the channel, so if you haven't already, check those out. And we will catch you again very soon for some more excuse me. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you have enjoyed this content. All the views, likes, shares, all of that good stuff is always very much appreciated, and we'll catch you again very soon for some more Mana and Motherboards. Cheers.